Good morning and welcome back to Planner Craft. I'm Natalie and I'm going to be taking you through the final part of our Armoir gift box. So I can see messages coming through from Facebook, YouTube and Twitch today, but I can't see viewer numbers, so I will wait a little bit for everybody to join. Do say hi and let me know that you're watching. So we've made the body of our box and hopefully you've managed to get all your drawers in and ready to go. And I thought it might be a good video to show you how we can actually start to decorate the box using offset to create some little decorative panels. So I'm just waiting for a few of you to join. So if you can let me know if you can see and hear me okay. So we're not getting any chat at the moment. Hey, hi Deb. There's obviously a bit of a delay today, so we'll bear with it. I've popped the stitch panels onto USB so we can use those if need be too. So I'm going to pop those into my USB extension lead. And how did you all get on? So hopefully you're more at this stage than this one, but I've got this one here just to say about this panel here. So if you've used a double-sided piece of paper and you don't want to cover this panel, then you need to find some way of just giving it a little bit of reinforcement inside just to prevent the wobble a little bit. Hi Thea! Okay. I just turned that off, I think. Oh well. There we go. Good day already. So I was thinking, before we attach our top section to our box, I want to create a sort of panel to go on here that we can adhere our mechanism to. So I was going to use one of the stitch panels to create a decorative panel to just fit inside that edge. So I'm going to start off with that. Grab my little pencil, make sure the blade's removed, and I'm going to go OK. Now we know our box is just under 3 inches by 3 inches square. So I'm looking for a square that's going to be slightly smaller than that. Good morning Verna, and you've been doing really well with your project. So don't forget to pop them up on the group when they're done as well, so everybody can see what you've been doing. You can even enter them for the birthday competition, I'll let you. Okay, so I'm going to go to Retrieve Data, to USB. I'm going to scroll down and I've popped them all into one folder. Now I'm going to go for, let's go for something a bit different, go for the new one. And I want a square shape, so I'm going to go down till I can see the squares. Did I manage to pick one that's not a square, do we think? There we go. So we've got basic stitch or cross stitch. So I think we're going to change. Let's go for a cross stitch one. I'm going to go OK. So at the moment all these are grouped individually. So if we click on one we can actually move it out the way on its own. Like so. And if we go into Edit and Object Edit and resize, we can see how big it is. So we know we need to go a few sizes down from that one. So if we click on each one, little letters, let's move that one out of the way. I want to get a bit smaller. going to go for that one. So all the rest can be deleted. So if I go OK, I'm going to go to my multi-select. I'm going to click off my shape so nothing is selected. And morning Tracy, thank you for sharing. I'm going to select these and get rid of them. Okay. And the next round. So I'm just going to use a window for this one, it's going to be a bit easier. So I'll go OK, add that one to it, and then we can just get that out of the way and just check we've got the right one. I'll go OK, OK. Now we just need our mat, and we need to decide what we're going to cut it out of. So I was going to use some nice decorative paper to finish off my project. So I'm working with Nature's Song by Paper Tree. It goes really well with that grey card. So, and because we're sticking our mechanism to it, we just want a sort of patterned background that we can use. So let's go for this nice grey one here. Put that one there so I can tear it off. So I'm going to go for this one. Pop that onto my mat. Now these are only really papers, so they're 160 GSM. So what I will do when I'm doing my cutting is use my vinyl blade. It's just a little bit kinder on paper. Right, okay, so if we were to take one and resize it, that's actually going to change the proportion of your stitches. So instead of having nice large-ish stitches, if I can get my teeth in, it's actually going to make those stitches appear really tiny. So you're actually better off having that smaller size. One of the joys of those kits actually is that it's done all the hard work for you, so it's already sorted out the alignment of the dashes, so you haven't got to do it. It's sorted out the length of the stitches, so it's consistent through all the sizes. So if you want to do matting and layering, your stitches will be consistent throughout. And thank you Tracy, it is very pretty paper. So, because I've got those stitches on there, I'm thinking it'd be really nice to just draw those out, so that we have a nice little drawn border. So I'm going to go for a grey fine liner, I think, and I'm just going to check that this one's dark enough. Yep, you can just about see that. So I want it dark enough but not too dark that it looks like I've done black stitching. So with your 3D thumbprint holder, you want to make sure it's unscrewed almost fully, so it's still got that top bit attached. You want to make sure your guide is in place and not pulled at all, so it should rest in those two slots nicely. We're going to take the cap off our pen, push it through. Now with fine liners, you always want to make sure that it goes through the centre bit of your nib there, as because they're so fine they can start to actually go through the side, and we don't want that. Now I'm just going to very gently start to tighten that screw, and I've got a very slight amount of pressure on this end, so you want to try and make sure it's still against that guide. So if you give your guide a little waggle, you should feel there's a very slight grating that's saying that that nib is in contact with your guide. Okay, so I'm going to pop that in my holder. So your two lines should be to the back, and it's going to have a, there we go, give it a little wiggle, come on. I'm not wanting to play ball today, come on, there we go. You should only ever be gentle with it though, don't try and force it. So I'm going to load my mat, hopefully. See how it goes. Nope. Take two. Try again. There we go. So as I was saying yesterday, it's nearly time for me to change onto my next mat. But there's loads of things that we can use this mat for. I mean, it's done for the machine. There's lots of techniques that we can do with it. So I'm going to drag my shape over to this corner. Okay. I'm going to go OK. I'm going to go draw. So you can see that we should have our stitching around the outside. Now if you want to cut that stitching, you will need to take the SVG for the file into Canvas and set it to either a cut and draw line online or a cut line in the desktop version. It's going to say that because we're using the 3D thumbprints holder rather than the brother, so just go OK and off it goes. Thanks, Tracy. Yeah, in total now we have over 600 videos on YouTube, I think. So a little reminder about the competition while that's busy drawing away. And that is to create a birthday card for my birthday, which is not too far away now. But the deadline to get it into the group is Friday morning. So that's Friday the 26th. And you need to get it in by Friday morning. So it can be any kind of style that you want. You can use the scan and cut or not use the scan and cut. So there's nothing that you absolutely have to do. And we'll select somebody to get a little surprise in the post. So any questions while we're just waiting for that to finish drawing? Yes, it can be just digital, because all we're asking is that a photo is uploaded to the group, so there's no need for anything to be posted. And there we go. So to unload your pen, you're going to unscrew it first and pull it back through gently. So the pen I was using is a Derwent Line Maker, and they've got a few different colours now in their line makers, so it's basically a fine liner rather than a paint pen. Okay, so we can see that we've got our stitching around the outside. So now it's time to do our cut. So I'm going to use my vinyl blade. Pop that in. And go OK. up to please select and to cut. Now our pressure, actually I might leave it in -9, just thinking about it because of the paper, and I'm going to drop my speed back down to 1 and go OK. Let's go for that and see how it goes. Hi Tracy! So is everybody getting notifications okay now about when we're going live? We've been setting it up a bit differently this week, using an event through our streaming software rather than through Facebook, but it gives us access to a few other features that we can use next Friday. So like we've got the option of having polls has come back, which is good. Okay, so I'm very gently going to lift that. Nope, hasn't cut all the way through. So let's pop that pressure back up. Being overly cautious now. That's good to know then that it's working that way. Okay, there we go. So if I hold that up to the camera, you should be able to see a little bit of stitching detail. So if we'd have done that black, it would have shown all the way around, but it would look a bit fake, I think, in black. Whereas by doing it with grey, it's going to blend into our paper a little bit more. So that can go onto the top of our box. Now, just because my mat's having a few issues, I'm going to leave it loaded. But obviously, you can always move yours out the way. So let's put a little bit of glue. Don't need too much of this one. Now you want to bear in mind where your front is, so it's a really nice, easy one to identify as our back. And let's pop that onto our box, like so. Okay, so I wanted to show you another little trick that we can do, and I'm going to go back home to clear my canvas, and I'm going to look at these little panels that we've got between our drawers. So I'm going to go to pattern, and I'm going to bring in a thin rectangle. Thinner the better, so let's go for that one. Okay, and I'm just going to set that onto my mat as is. So first of all, I'm going to go into Object Edit, and I'm going to resize it to match my box. But before I do that, I'm just going to change my, let me get to my settings, there we go. I want to change it to millimeters, and it will let me. If you feel that way inclined, let me delete that out there and start again then. Let's go back home. Because I know when I come to do that offset, I'm going to want to use millimeters. It's easier to do it in millimeters rather than trying to work out points of inches. especially when you're working at such a small scale as this. So I'm going to do that. Okay, let's add in my rectangle. Okay, going to grab a ruler. So my size of my panel at the moment is about 7.5 centimetres wide. So that's 75mm. Okay. And we have a height of, let's say 15. So once you've resized your width, if you then need to change your height in relation to that set width, we have to press this button here. So what that's going to do is allow you to alter your height and width independently and not to scale. I'm going to take that down to my 15. And I'm going to add that to my mat. Now, obviously, at this moment, if we were to do that, it's literally going to go the entire width and height of that panel, which might be what you want. But what I'm thinking is, if we offset it inwards, we can actually have a little bit of that grey border shown around the outside. So I'm going to go to Edit, Object Edit, Offset. Now, if we were to do offset at this precise moment, it's going to go 1.5mm outwards. What we actually need to do is go inwards. So that means that we need a negative figure. Okay. We're going to go OK. I'm going to pull my original shape out, and you can see that it's the original because it's that slightest bit bigger. So if we get rid of that one, okay. Now we know that we need 3 panels here, 2 panels here, so that makes 5, another 3 making 8. So if we go to Object Edit, Duplicate, and we need 8 of them, and go OK. So there's all our boxes, and I'm going to pop my paper back on. Now bear in mind, if you're working with a directional paper, which way you're putting your paper on your mat. So our shapes are all going to be horizontal, and they're horizontal on there, so we need to make sure. It doesn't matter if it's upside down, but it does matter if it's at a right angle. Okay. So I'm going to do a background scan because we've got this hole missing here. And make sure that we're not going to cut our mat or go off our edges. So press start. That's going to go all the way through. So be aware, if you're working with an R6 Duo mat, just be ready to just pull it back in slightly on the way back through. Okay, so there's our background scan done. And if I just lighten that up just a touch, so you should be able to see the boxes over the top. In actual fact, I'm going to zoom in so you can see that a little bit better. So you have your boxes, and I can even go, let's just see if I can get this to go a little bit closer for you. There we go. So now what we want is to space all of those out. So if we do this one, it's going to assume that we've got a 12 by 12 on there, and it's going to space them all out like so. But what we actually want it to do is you want to pull these ones back in underneath. So if we go to Edit, Multiple Select, then we want to select our 4 shapes that aren't fitting. Go OK. Then we can just drag those back underneath and back up. Okay. Go OK. OK. And we're going to go to Cut. And off we go. It's very quiet out there today. So what I'll do next is I will quickly pop together the top mechanism. So that we can see how our little mirror is going to work. And then I will probably leave you for today so that you can finish off your design and pop it up on the group. Is anybody not on the group yet that might need a bit of help getting on? Okay. So here's our pieces. And this is definitely, you need a metal spatula for this one, just trying to get underneath without damaging your paper too much. Okay. I'm just going to pop a little bit of glue on each of these and line it up on my box. Wiggle it under the handles if you need to. Do try and get rid of any glue residue before it sets though. There's one. Wouldn't it be cool if we could play music? It's really weird when I come on to stream because usually when I'm crafting I have music on. So you can see on my box I've kind of done lots of different ways to do the drawer handles. So I've put a photograph up of each one a bit more close up so you can see the options. And you could also use this same technique to do decorative panels before popping in your brads or your finger notches in some cases. Okay. Nearly there. Oh, sorry. There we go. That would help, wouldn't it? So I've just popped those panels on there. I've got 3 more to do anyway, so you won't miss much. It doesn't take a lot of glue, so I'm literally just doing a few dots. Now if you've done your project in a bit thicker card, so something like a 350 to a 450, and you've probably found that you've had to change your design slightly to allow for the thickness of the card. But what you can then do is you can varnish it or laminate it. So when I say laminate, you can use clear vinyl before making up your project. Try and keep it clear of your glue tabs though. Otherwise, it doesn't tend to like sticking too much. There we go. Okay. So let's grab my other little pieces that we did yesterday. So we have our little triptych card. And we do have the mechanism to go with, hiding somewhere under here. Let me just get under there. There we go. Okay. So our mechanism, we're going to want to score across our glue tab and halfway again. And our little triptych card is going to fold accordingly. So this one actually cut. So what I'm going to do is just do it like so and like so. Now if you want to do this as a little gatefold card with a little sentiment on the front, you can use it with Velcro to latch it shut and then put your mirror inside, or if you want to put a little sentiment inside and have these bits mirror, you can do that. So what I will do now is let me grab my, there we go, I knew it was here somewhere, little sentiment, and I want to go for something that's going to fit in our little, let's go for best wishes, because special days can be so much, can't they? So it could be a nice little wedding gift. It means we're all going to be starting to think about weddings and so forth. If anybody's interested in me doing some wedding tutorials for things to make for weddings, let me know. And I'm going to pop that onto my mat. Now obviously this is much too big for our project at the moment, and it actually needs to go down so it fits inside our little card here. So I'm going to go for a square measuring 7 by 7 centimeters. So hopefully when I go back to zoom in, I'm going to go OK, I'm going to reset, I'm going to go to pattern, I'm going to go to the square, or if you wanted to you could use one of the stitch squares and go that way, just for speed, because Ian's already starting his lunch. I'm going to take that down to 7 centimeters and go OK. Just want the one. Going to do a background scan so that we can see our sentiment. So because it's lighter paper, I'm just going to darken it down a bit so I can actually see the sentiment nice and clearly. I'm going to line up my square. So I'm looking so that I'm trying to get a nice balanced bit of the paper as well as where the sentiment is, because it is quite an unusual design. It's not like a regular circle, it's a doodle circle. So we've got little bits of it showing and others that aren't. So I think I'm going to go for that. Just going to go into edit and zoom in, and that way we can see it a little bit better. If we zoom in more, and we're going to kind of see part of the design, not necessarily all of it. So if I scroll down a bit, there we go. So I think I'm just going to bring it down just a touch, like so. Go OK, 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 cut, and I'll do that one. Okay, so then you can do your mirror using that same offset technique that I showed you. I'm going to keep that waste from that one, and I can use that for something else because it makes a nice little frame. Slide that under there. There we go. So I'm just going to show you quickly how to pop that mechanism together, and that'll be done for today. So I will carry on finishing this off the rest of the day, and I will pop up the finished results on the group later. So I'm going to pop in my sentiment, like so. Wet glue allows you that little bit of wiggle room, so you can get it in there. And there we go. Ta-da! There we go. It's a pain trying to do the cameras. It's not easy. But there again, streaming at 7 o'clock just isn't an option at the moment, because this week Ian's done a bunch of early shifts, so it would have meant that we've been working like 16 hour days. It would not have been good. Okay, so let's unload my mat, just so I've got a bit of extra room to play with. Thank you, Tracy. I try my best. So I'm just going to scroll. There we go. Score that one there. Then I'm going to go halfway and score again. There we go. So now I'm bringing my box. And this is where you're going to want to kind of think about how you want it to pop up. So if we think back to our original roll drawing, we had it as a Z. So it's going to go up like that, was my thinking. So let's try that out. And that is going to work quite nicely. So I'm going to start off by adhering my mechanism to the back of my card. So you want to aim for the middle and try and get it level. So definitely a wet glue moment. rather than as tape. And think about which way up it's going to go. So I'm going to make sure that we're getting things round the right way, because there's nothing worse than getting it upside down. So I'm just going to go in there, try and get in the middle, get it straight. Keep checking that you've got it right in your own head. Yeah. So now, with this little tab here, we're going to want to do a little bit of tape and a little bit of glue so that we get some instant stick. So if you have red tape to hand, it's definitely a red tape bit of your project. But this one's just easier for me to tear while I'm live. Although not necessarily get the backing off any easier. Okay, I'm going to pop a little bit of wet glue either end, and a little bit top and bottom, like so. I'm going to fold my mechanism up. I'm going to aim for the centre back like so, and give it a good press down so it all starts to stick, and hopefully then when we lift it up it's going to actually start to stand up. So then if you want to put a little stop in here, you can do, so that it's going to stay up. Let me see if I can turn off the scan and cut screen for a minute so you can see that a little bit better. There we go. So if I hold that way, there we go. It's always a bit difficult when you're overhead trying to get the angle right, but I will take some nice pictures for you this afternoon so you can see how it's all going to look. So I'm going to put some mirror panels in here, and then I might do a little circle embellishment to go on the front here that's going to hold that together. So then if you think about it, when you receive it, it's going to be tucked down like that, nice and sealed. Person receiving can open it up and have a message in there, or if you want to do it like a little mirror for a teenager, you can do. Then you've got all your little drawers to put in lots of little goodies. So hopefully that's been a fun one, if very complicated. And hopefully you've had fun creating your first cut file. So do let me know how much you've enjoyed it, and if you'd like to do something this complicated again. Next week we are planning on doing individual streams rather than a big 4-parter. So I have a few projects in mind for next week. If there is anything particular you'd like me to cover, then do always pop a message in the group just asking for a bit of help. And we do try to cover questions that we have in the group in streams. So take care for now. Have a good weekend. Those of you that we're teaching over the weekend, we'll see you then. And if not, we'll see you Monday at 11. So take care and bye. You're all welcome, by the way. Bye. Bye bye.